before I do that, let me talk about some of the myths. Some of the myths in network marketing. Myth number 1. Slow and steady wins the race. Slow and steady wins the race. If you just stay consistent, if you just hang in there, if you just do a little bit every single month, a little tiny bit every single month, if you'll do that, then success is bound to happen for you. That's not true. It's a myth. Especially in network marketing. Other careers, maybe that's true. But in network marketing, guess what? Slow and steady is going to starve you to death. Slow and steady, if you're going to cross the road and there's heavy traffic, is slow and steady the best way to get across the road? No. You got to get across the road. Slow and steady, you're going to get run over. Right? So slow and steady is not going to win the race. Slow and steady is going to starve you to death inside of network marketing. And let me kind of give you a couple of examples. And part of this is part of what society has taught us. The tortoise and the hare. You've heard the story of the tortoise and the hare. Who wins the race? Does the rabbit win the race or does the turtle win the race? Well, the rabbit took off like crazy and then got distracted and disappeared. And the turtle, they just did a little tiny bit every single time. And the turtle ended up getting success, right? Well, in network marketing, guess what you got to be? You got to be the rabbit first to get things off the ground, and then the turtle, and then the rabbit, and then the turtle. I'll give you another example. Example I like to use all the time. Let's say this is a runway at the airport. Okay? This is the runway at the airport, and on this runway you've got an airplane. Like my fancy art. But on this airplane, you're sitting on the runway. Now, let's say you're a good person and you're just, you're a part-time pilot. So, because you got other stuff going on, you decide on the runway that you're going to give it 20% effort. So you're going to put the throttle down to 20%. Now, if you have any experience in being a pilot, are you going to get off the ground? If you go to 20% throttle? No. Are you going to get movement? Are you going to move down the runway? Yes. But you're not going to get off the ground. What if you had to do 40%? Okay, fine. I'll do double the 20%. I'll do 40%. You going to get off the ground? No. How about 60% or 80%? No. What do you have to do? Even if you're a part-time pilot, what do you have to do to get off the ground? You got to give it 100%. Now, it's not forever, but you got to give it 100% to get to an altitude. Now, once you're at that altitude, then you can pull back. You can't keep it at 100% for forever. Then you can pull back. You can put it on cruise control. You can relax a little bit. But to take off requires focus, commitment, 100% energy. You got to do it to get off the ground. This is true in any career, any business. To get off the ground, you got to go crazy. You got to give it 100%. You got to go nuts. Now, get off the ground. Whether you're a part-time person in network marketing or full-time person in network marketing, you can say, well, I don't want to recruit 20 people in 30 days. I want to recruit one person a month. Have you heard that myth? If you just recruit one person a month and you teach everybody in your group to just recruit one person a month, you can have 4,000 people at the end of your first year. Well, that sounds really cool and it looks really nice on a piece of paper, but I've never seen anybody do it in 27 years. You know why? Because you can't get any altitude. You can't get off the ground doing one a month. You move down the runway, but if you don't get off the ground, eventually you're going to run out of runway, and you've got trees at the end. You're going to hit the trees. You're going to hit the barrier at the end of the runway. It's going to be over for you. So slow and steady is not going to get you off the ground. A burst of energy, 100%. That's why recruiting 20 is important. Recruit 20, get off the ground. Then throttle back, work with those people, train them, motivate them, whatever. Okay? So slow and steady is not going to win the race. You've got to get an altitude. You've got to give it all you got for a short period of time. Second is, here's the second myth. Just don't quit. If you don't quit, you're going to make all kinds of money in network marketing. Not true. It's not true. You know how many people are sitting there starving to death? They're still there. They're still in. They haven't quit. They still go to the meetings. They still use the products. They still go to the conventions. But they haven't quit. Not quitting, of course that's important, because if you're not in the game, you can't win. But just not quitting is not enough. You've got to learn, you've got to grow, and at some point, you've got to get to that day that says enough is enough. I'm not going to live like this anymore. I have a higher purpose. I have a gift to be able to help people, and I'm going to go beyond just not quitting, and I'm going to give this 100%. That's what it takes. Learning skills, growing, practice, and a burst of energy. If you give a burst of energy and you decide that if you just say, slow and steady wins the race, I'm just not going to quit. You know how many millions of people in network marketing are holding on to these two things and hoping that something changes? Millions of people. I don't want you to be one of them. Because these two myths, just these two, when people hold on to these, they think that they're bound for success. And really what they're bound for is the end of the runway. They better hope that they have a big runway that goes for a long time. You know, maybe it's 5 years before they hit the wall and they say, you know what, enough is enough. I guess I'm just not cut out for this. It's not true, though. Okay? So, understanding those two things.